Hello, I am Victoria. This is a page devoted to Robert's history. How he started designing these beautiful Gothic style dresses. This is what I gathered out of an interview with Robert. This was a total surprise to him on making these Gothic dresses. But this is a story I believe should be told by someone that was there at that time. So with that said, please watch the next video where Manny explains this whole event.
Hello, my name is Manny. I was asked to explain how this Gothic style dress that I am wearing came about. Okay, before I get in trouble here, I am not real, I am just a mannequin put in an animation program. That gives me the ability to be able to talk. Now that this is cleared up, just pretend I am real. Now for the story about this beautiful wedding dress that I am wearing. I was purchased in the year 1998, in an old storefront going out of business, where Robert had heard there were some mannequins for sale. So he came in and purchased me, and my other partner, of course, she was a mannequin also. So that gives you some background on me. My partner, Robert, had to sell her because of financial problems. Okay, on to Robert's story here. Robert was studying in a fashion college and had a sewing job at a sewing factory at this time. I understand he started teaching himself how to sew around the years 1988 to 1989. He had no training at all on a sewing machine at that time. He ventured early on into trying to make prom dresses and messing around with satin fabrics. Now bear with me here, I am leading up to the Gothic dresses. You have to know Robert's path to understand how he stumbled onto these designs. He then saw things and ventured to designing of his own patterns. With still no sewing training, he was already wearing his own designed shirts and pants. In around the year 1997, Robert enrolled in a fashion college. Excited, but also overwhelmed with its pressure of the two intense fashion classes that he took, he dropped out for a semester or two. He then came back and stayed college year-round part-time for 8 years. I also neglected to tell you that Robert was one of the best art students in his high school. He also had studied a year in architectural drafting in a tech school. Robert has a wild imagination and a unique artistic point of view. He has an ability to see things through an out-of-the-box type thinking. In other words, he don't think or see things like most people do. So now that you have a background of Robert's path, I do now believe this will help you understand this event. Okay, this was Robert's last year in fashion college, and the fashion show was coming up. Robert loved this event, and this was his 5th major fashion show to show his designs in. Teachers and some students could not wait to see Robert's designs for the show auditions every year. They all thought he showed great potential as becoming a great fashion designer. You have to understand, at this time in his life he lived and breathed fashion designing. He worked at a fabric store his last year of school, and he spent many hours looking at designs in stores. Also buying a lot of fabric. He sewed all the time, day and night. Well, he come up with a complete collection of a wedding set for the guys and the girls. It was a rather different style of wedding party attire. The guys had pants with long tunics. The bride and bridesmaid had buckles and ties into a corset style. These two dresses were supposed to be constructed in satin and lace by the fashion show specs. Now remember, I told you Robert bought a lot of fabric at that time. Well, he already had all the satin and lace to construct these dresses. Well, something strange happened that night when he got home from school. I was standing there in my corner, with 2 more mannequins that Robert purchased years after me. Remember, I told you Robert thinks out of the box. Well, I saw something fixing to take place. Robert had his fashion drawings on the table ready to begin, and his fabrics also. When I noticed him looking at a pile of fabric, stacked on the floor he had bought that week, I knew it, here it comes. Robert had a pile of fabric called slicker he was eyeballing very strong. Next thing I knew, he threw the satin and lace off the table and he grabbed that slicker. Well, this was a strange turn of events for Robert to do. Right at the start of designing for the big fashion show, he started tweaking his designs and started constructing these two dresses out of slicker, not satin like he was supposed to. When he came home from school the next day, he had more bags of fabrics and some strange bags from a place called Home Depot. Whoa! Now what is going on here? This is not like Robert at all. I watched him pull out a large amount of strange items out of those bags. Now, I see long chains come out, black roses, buckles, just all kind of unusual things that I have never seen. He then started constructing the first dress. It was the wedding dress. It had a corset, buckles, chains, leather straps. I had never seen him construct a dress like this. Well, I could not wait to model this dress. He then constructed the veil and the other dress. Of course, this was about a 3-month project. Then the dresses were done. Now, after so long of waiting to model this dress, he comes over and finally puts that beautiful wedding dress on me. I loved it. It had a 10-foot veil on my head with chain dragging off of it. I felt special in this dress. I had never wore something like this before. Now as for at school, Robert was always making his designs in secret with no outside help if possible. Now keep in mind, he told the fashion show committee that these dresses would be made in satin. Robert took his collection to school that day. When everyone saw his work in this Gothic style fabric, they fell in love with it. One teacher was just like me, she had to try it on herself. They were just shocked and amazed that Robert could design these beautiful Gothic dresses with no training on how to do so. The dress then went in a fair and won a first-place prize. Then the dress was sold to a lady in Paris, France. The Gothic dress that Victoria is wearing was made for a project runway audition. But Robert sad to did not get on the show. Well, that is the story of how Robert made these dresses. We at fashioutofthebox.com are trying to get him to do a live training on constructing one of these Gothic style dresses. But at this time we don't know when he is going to do this. Thank you. This is Manny. Say God bless you and goodbye.
Wow! What an indebted story about Robert's designing. I just was purchased a few months ago. Okay, I know that I am not real. But like Manny says, let's just pretend that I am real. From what I have seen and heard about Robert, he is one very unique person. He truly sees things different than other people do. He hates tradition in fashion, but does in his own way enhance some of their styles. He does not follow fashion trends, he designs his own styles instead. It is a real loss to the fashion world that Robert is not known for his designing. Well, maybe someday he will get discovered, I hope. Thanks and God bless all of you. Victoria saying goodbye.